Good evening, Uganda. Welcome to Face the Nation. My name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga. This evening, I am joined by a lawyer and an advocate of the High Court of Uganda. This gentleman is called Counsel Luyimbazi Nalukoola from Nalukoola'S Advocates and Solicitors. Today we look at the general judiciary of the country, the justice system, that when every Ugandan has a problem, they look up to it. As we speak today, a lot of controversy has been around the judiciary of the country and how justice is being given to various people. A case in point is a veteran politician, Dr. Kizza Besigye, who up to now, after having retired from the army, is being tried in the General Court Martial. We also have some issues in the Uganda Law Society leadership, whereas some people say that Counsel Semakadde is the ideal president and was voted by the lawyers themselves. Many of them say that the language that he's using is really undermining the judicial and justice system in the country. He's maligning people, undermining them, and some people call it ridiculing. Is this the right way to go? And of course, what does the Counsel Nalukoola think about this particular issue? We have that and much more tonight. So what you can do is just share this feed to as many people as you can so that we start Face the Nation. Sir, you're most welcome to Face the Nation.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me face the
nation.
The nation.
You're facing the nation.
These days you don't face the nation alone.
Yes,
you face the entire world. Since the entire world became a global village.
Yes, sir. Happy to have you. Let's start the conversation, really. Yes. What do you think about the leadership of the new leadership of the Uganda Law Society, generally? Talking about Counsel Semakadde and his team.
Land Counsel Semakadde, he's coming into that office is a message.
Yes, sir.
To the regime, a message to judiciary, a message to senior counsel, a message to government of Uganda that they must style up. There is something which is missing.
What is missing?
In the system.
What is missing in the system?
What is missing is good governance. What is missing is doing away with several evils, including but not limited to corruption, doing things reluctantly, failing to execute duties by the duty bearers, suffocating human rights, justice, good governance to the detriment of the citizens of Uganda. Several evils happening without any voice from the duty bearers who are seated in their offices doing nothing but just earning from Ugandans to their detriment.
Okay.
Those who are duty bearers, who are supposed to uphold, observe, promote, protect human rights, are the greatest abusers, violators of human rights.
That is accurate. Police has been voted one of the biggest gross human rights violators in this country for the last 12 years or so. So it is accurate.
Uganda Law Society must be the voice for the voiceless.
But what voice, Counsel? Because yes, it's true. You are a voice to the voiceless. You defend the people, the widows. You do everything to try to advocate for people's rights. But what language are we using? Don't you think the language that Counsel Semakadde is using while addressing some people is even undermining his voice for the voiceless?
We've been observing and maintaining decorum. Be polite. Be courteous, among others.
Be respectful.
Be respectful.
Yes.
But you are respecting somebody who is doing evil. So the language does not matter now when you compare to the evils you have committed. You, the corrupt officer, you, the violator of human rights, You who is executing people, you know, extrajudicial killings. Now, what kind of abuse can be bigger than killing somebody without any verdict from court? You are a police officer. You have somebody in your custody. You kill him. And you tell me that somebody has insulted me, and somebody has embarked on verbal artillery. And now this verbal artillery is very dangerous as compared to killing of civilians without taking.
Do you agree with Counsel Semakade when he calls DPP Abodo a vagina from Karamoja? What do you think about those statements themselves?
Does Eddie Mutwe complain when he's called Eddie Mutwe? Mutwe is part of his body, isn't it? What are you talking about? Can you compare?
So would you be defined by your private parts, sir?
Let me tell you something. There are things which are not uncomparable. A rabbit and a lion. Semakade is delivering a point, is making his point clear. And I believe he has done the needful now. Because we are now comparing. Recently I read a document which was signed by one of the senior lawyers I respect much. The document was authored by former presidents of Uganda Law Society. They are complaining and reminding us to remain professional when we are making our statements, to avoid using such words. They are right, and I appreciate them for reminding us towards such a very important professional concern. However, the timing. Now you can't talk about that language. You can't compare it to the evils which have taken place without any comment from former presidents of Uganda Law Society.
Isn't it becoming a dictatorial tendency for Semakade? Aren't we building a dictator in the Uganda Law Society? A man who can just cast out other people from the Uganda Law Council, for example, the Attorney General.
Excuse me, the point I'm making here is,
yes.
There are things which matter much.
Matter more than decorum and respect for people?
Things like the abuse of independence of judiciary, not only as an institution or an organ of government, but independence of an individual judge. For instance, Justice Kizza.
That's where we're coming.
You remember what happened? The former presidents of Uganda Law Society have never said anything. The disputes which arose, the scuffle surrounding the suspension of Justice Bukirwa Farida through the office of principal judge, former presidents of Uganda Law Society have never made any statement. The extrajudicial killings of several Ugandans, including Shechirevu, Zebra Mando.
Yes.
Many Ugandans were killed on 18th and 19th November 2020.
Yes.
We are waiting for a statement from former presidents of Uganda Law Society. Nowhere. The enactment of Majezi Act in 2017 against the provisions of the Constitution and the will of the people of Uganda. Amidst militarism, no statement from former presidents of Uganda Law Society.
What are you trying to assert?
we have things which matter much. Did they make any statement when the DPP put several people in jail there without any trial? For instance, Jamiru Mukulu, who was brought back to Uganda, he was extradited from Tanzania to Uganda almost 10 years ago. The trial has never begun. But they are saying it's wrong to refer to the DPP by that word. What about those people who are in jail and they are not being tried? When will they talk about that? Isn't that wrong? Isn't that violation of human rights?
Yes, it is
wrong. When will the former presidents of Uganda Law Society talk about that? Are they more concerned about decorum but not human rights of the people? The mismanagement of our affairs? The misrule by General Museveni? Taking civilians to military courts?
So because all these problems are there,
statement,
does it mean
are
to
they
abuse?
concerned about calling somebody by his or her body part? Is that so much? Read the Constitution.
Okay, Counsel, let's move on to the issue of Justice Kizza that you raised.
Yes.
And how do we reach a point when a justice of a Supreme Court runs from a country and goes to exile, fleeing political persecution, and of course citing out issues and disagreements with the Chief Justice? What does this speak of the judiciary that we have generally as Ugandans? Because now why I'm asking you this is because this is the ultimate resort for Ugandans, that when everything goes wayward, justice needs to be served and we go to the judiciary. But according to the statements that you have submitted, it looks like the judiciary, one would say, is no more. What do you think about that, sir?
I don't have to blame Chief Justice and his land friends, but I would blame the person who has chosen to be in power for eternity, General Museveni. When you choose to be in power for eternity, and you are the one to appoint important people to occupy those important offices.
Which is the constitution that gives him that power?
Yes, it does.
I don't want people to be misled.
They are not misled. The framers of the Constitution had good intentions.
Exactly.
That's why they had to put in that Constitution term limit.
Yeah, they were there.
So at the time of making the Constitution, they were aware that their president would reign for only 2 terms.
10 years, yes.
Each term 5 years. And it was well calculated.
Yes, sir.
That the same president would as well appoint members of the Electoral Commission. But the Electoral Commission would be there for 7 years. For one to be a member, you would be enjoying a term of 7 years. But the president would enjoy a term of 5 years.
Yes.
Upon re-election, would have only 1 more term.
Yes.
That means that president would even fail to, at one point one would serve as a president without getting the opportunity of appointing the members of the Electoral Commission.
Yes.
Are you getting my point?
I'm getting your point very well, sir.
The same president in our Constitution as it was before amendment was given a lot of powers to appoint judges, High Court, Court of Appeal, Supreme Court, to appoint several other persons to occupy several offices.
Exactly.
The framers of the Constitution anticipated that we would have an independent judiciary because the one who appoints those judges would serve for only
2 terms.
2 terms. Let us compare Uganda with the United States of America. When you get Trump in office,
Yes.
Trump will appoint a lawyer to Occupy said the Supreme Court of the United States of America, that judge may be sympathetic with
Republicans, yes.
But later,
when he goes,
one from Democratic Party comes and gets an opportunity to appoint maybe 2 or 1 judge.
Exactly.
Like that.
That's how a system works. That's true.
But
for the last
here,
100 years.
You have 1 president. Now almost 4 decades. 1 president. Do you have any judge who has ever been appointed by any other president apart from General Museveni?
No.
Let me tell you something. The Constitution is supposed to be 1 document, like an agreement for purchase and sale of a Chibanja. The moment you choose to change any clause therein, that change can affect other clauses. For instance, when you choose to increase price, for instance, it was 70 million, you are supposed to pay in 4 installments. Should you increase the price to 100 million, then that means you have as well to look at that part on payment. Would this purchaser be able to pay the entire price within that period?
No, he will need a
you'll have
distance.
to. So change in the price will affect other clauses.
Yes, I get you.
But in Uganda, there is a challenge. We don't treat the Constitution as sui generis. It is a special document. The interpretation of the same or amendment of the same, as you are doing it, you must consider all other provisions. Because
what you decide affects everything.
Yes.
I get what you're saying, sir.
Thank you for being a very attentive interviewer. Now, when it came to amendment of the Constitution, from 2 terms to eternity, we had as well to amend other provisions of the Constitution as regards the powers of the President. That's how we would have handled the issue of independence of the judiciary.
Okay.
But since we have the same president, we are expecting to be on the ballot paper in 2071.
2026.
2071, because it's there for eternity. They amended even the provision in regard to age.
Yeah.
So, that judge who is appointed to be the judge of the High Court will always think about that person.
So he's betraying.
Appointed.
So that judicial officer is betraying the country as we speak. Because, Counsel, what you're saying is true. But at the end of the day, these people have the power itself. That's why we saw Justice Chisache disagree with the rest of the judges on the Supreme Court. So what does it say? That whereas they have a person that has appointed them to a certain position, they still bear the power themselves to, and they're still, one would say they are people who are mature, adult with sound mind. They can disagree like what Counsel Nalukoola is doing right now. Aren't they betraying the land of Uganda? And they just acting as accomplices to what you may be saying is true, Mr. Museveni and the leadership of the country today. And these people really betraying. Can't we put them on the spot as Ugandans?
I'm not saying what some people wish to hear.
And what is that, sir?
I'm saying the truth. The reality is,
yes,
he who pays the piper chooses the tune. When you are appointed to a position and you anticipate that at one point you'll need promotion, say from being a judge of the High Court to a judge of the Court of Appeal, from being a judge of the Court of Appeal to judge of the Supreme Court, you have to think about the interests of the appointing authority. It's very important. I'm real.
Don't we have Ugandans who stand their ground? Do we have patriotic people in this country anymore?
Have you witnessed many resigning from their offices?
Not many have.
I heard of a legislator called Kajeke, who some time back resigned from being a member of parliament. One off. In 1989, Ziri Twawula resigned when they introduced legal notice number 1 of 1989. You know, initially General M7'S had promised to Ugandans that he will reign for only 4 years and give back power to the citizens. But in 1989, he and his friends came up with a proposal that they enlarge time from 1990 to 1995, rather 96, around there, so that they can come up with a new constitution.
Exactly.
After the promulgation of the constitution in 1995, then they organized for elections.
Yes.
This time he said, now I'm a new man. Yes,
I'm a
I
new
never had
candidate.
people's mandate. When I came to power, it was through war.
Yes, sir.
Now I'm becoming a candidate. I'm subjecting myself to the civilian rule. They should determine who their president should be. From there, we expected him to reign at least for 2 terms.
Yeah, up to 2006.
In 2001, Honorable Jabel Vidandisali was, as he was campaigning, was saying, "Oino mwana, olinache wekolede, londa General M7'S amukukumire, abikukumire." Oh, many Ugandans thought that this is the last term for General M7'S.
Yes.
You read the news. New Vision was reporting retirement of Museveni in 2006. But in 2005, they removed the term limit. When they removed the term limit, it was the only concern over there. So they never considered the other part.
The holistic view, yes.
Now we need a group of people, say like judges, who can say, enough is enough.
Okay.
We can't be under somebody's armpit. Therefore, we cannot decide in favor of this man.
Okay.
We must be independent.
But we don't have that.
The independence does not end with the judiciary alone, but even independent judges. Those who have decided not to be under such kind of dependency, some just resign incognito.
We're not seeing that happening. Let's come back to ground.
We have some,
because that's a
but
beautiful
they give
hypothesis.
some other reasons because they don't want to be seen as political
Okay.
animals.
Counsel, let's get back, because politics in this country runs the country literally. There is a new phenomenon where people are picked from Kenya, particularly, and they are driven back to Uganda and charged in the general court martial. Before I even look at the court martial itself and how legal it is, you'll paint a picture for us. This phenomenon of getting the 36 members of FDC, bringing them and charging them here, getting Dr. Besigye, bringing him, how legal is this in your regard as a lawyer and an advocate?
That is illegal. You know, there are known procedures. Renditions not part of such.
That is called rendition?
Yeah, rendition. Normally it's United States of America who uses that kind of procedure, but it's not provided for under constitutions and human rights international instruments. Like International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, among others. The known procedure is called extradition. Yes. You extradite somebody. There is a procedure. It is as old as it first happened in the 13th century.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, in Egypt. Another procedure is deportation.
Exactly.
But to extradite somebody, there must be an agreement, a treaty,
yes,
between or among countries with that arrangement. But again, you cannot just extradite.
There is a process
There
involved.
is a process. You request
The country.
the country which has a reason to have a visitor in the other country to be brought back to your country.
A case in point is Jamil Mukulu.
Yes.
You can explain
Even
using
in
that one.
yes, even in Jamil Mukulu's case,
Yes.
Uganda requested for him, and the proceedings were instituted in a
Yes.
court called Chisitu in Tanzania. You know, there are many conditions which must be fulfilled. For instance, the nature of the offense. If you are to try that person in your court, you must show the other country where you are requesting the person to be extradited to show that this is among the offenses which are a basis for extradition.
Exactly, yes.
Political offenses, in most cases, are not a basis. For instance, treason. Don't you remember on several occasions those who are rebelling against the sitting government in Uganda in the 1980s used to travel freely in other countries?
Yes.
Like Sweden. Yeah? They could not be extradited because their efforts were towards removing the sitting government. They wanted to become honorables. Yes. And then issues to do with the torture. Yeah, you must assure this country, if it is observing human rights, that you want to torture this person.
Okay.
Issues to do with the fair trial.
Yes, I get
must
you.
be considered.
So what's different in the Besigye case and the 36 FDC members?
They have never gone through any procedure known, any due process known under our laws and international laws. Never at all. Have you ever heard of any request made by Uganda to Kenya?
No.
You can't just go to another country without consent of that country. You'll be violating.
It seems you can, sir.
sovereignty.
It has just been done. You can. 36 members were taken.
That was done illegally. Save where the government of Kenya consented, and if it consented, its consent was done illegally. And it's against human rights, it's against international law.
Okay, let's leave that issue. Now let's get to the court-martial itself. Some people call it a tribunal. Counsel, some people disagree that this is not this court itself. Some have dubbed it, like Counsel Aaron Kizza has called it a kangaroo court, and many people share the same ideology. Paint a picture for what people are tried in the general court-martial and under what circumstances, and then bring it to the 36 members of FDC and Besigye. Are they supposed to be, first of all, even if what they are saying hypothetically, they did or they did not do the charges that were laid upon them, are they supposed to be tried in that general court-martial?
The 36 are not tried under general court-martial. The 36 are being tried under the International Crimes Division of the High Court. Among the offenses is terrorism. Someday we shall talk about terrorism. You know, terrorism is a substitute of treason. You know, treason used to be a honorable offense, like I've said. It's committed by those who want to be president, those who want to take power. So dictators in Africa and the other countries felt that was giving those who are rebelling against their government a very good status in the world. Therefore, they chose to substitute that offense, treason, with terrorism. Because when it is terrorism, you are ridiculed, you are rejected by all other countries. Now, for Dr. Besigye and Hajji Obed Mutale, they are being tried in the general court martial.
But even
it's wrong.
Weren't the 36 candidates first tried in the general court martial?
But they were taken to international.
So how legal was that? Yes, because now it feels like the general court martial first gets you. Then you will start debating later. But it has first got you.
It seems they failed completely to have anything. You know, at times the prosecution use what we call holding charge. Have you ever heard of that?
Please educate us.
A holding charge is a charge which is normally used when they are not certain about what kind of allegations they should place against you.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Then, you know, as they are preparing, say, for murder, and then they say, theft, theft. They produce a suspect before court, and they make allegations that it is alleged that you stole a phone from somebody. You appear and you are remanded. When you appear again before the same court, they say, we have amended the charge sheet.
Yes.
Now it's no longer
theft alone.
It's now this. The other one was used as a holding charge. At times they use it when they are under uncertainty.
But you hold people for 4 years. NUP people were held in that general court martial for a long time.
You are aware that justice delayed is justice denied. You can't arrest somebody in law. You should never arrest somebody when you have no reasonable and probable cause. But here they just say we arrested them when they were in possession of firearms. When firearms are known to be property of UPDF. Now they are saying that firearms in Kenya are property of UPDF. So there is something to do. Leave alone the procedural matters and the substantive issue as regards to trying civilians in military courts, which was declared to be unconstitutional by the Constitutional Court in Michael Kayabaziguruka's case.
Isn't there an appeal in the Supreme Court?
There is an appeal. There is also an order for stay of execution. But I think now the order for stay of execution is not necessary because it's working to the detriment of Ugandans. The jurisdiction of general court martial again to try civilians is in question. And indeed the Constitutional Court has already pronounced itself that the general court martial has no jurisdiction.
So what is the general court martial doing, having no jurisdiction?
We are wondering because you cannot stay a pronouncement of court. They are doing what they are doing illegally and unconstitutionally. I'm telling you. Secondly,
yes, sir,
it has no territorial jurisdiction over Nairobi, Kenya.
Yeah, that if a crime was committed in Kenya, it should be tried in Kenya.
Yes.
Even when you're here in Uganda, if you did a crime, for example, in Gulu, you would be tried in Gulu court, not in Kampala.
I'll give you an example. It was alleged that Lord Mayor Elias Lukwago at one point read a report regarding the death of the murder of Dr. Andrew Takome Kayira in Masaka. He was arrested from Kampala and taken to Masaka, where it was alleged that he committed the offense from there. Yeah. Do you think that Uganda's general court martial has jurisdiction over Greece and Switzerland?
No.
And the allegations are that the accused persons held meetings in Switzerland and Greece, mobilizing support to prejudice security of defense organs. You know, do you think that Uganda's general court martial has jurisdiction over such areas?
I don't think so. We still have.
Does it have universal jurisdiction really?
Okay, I'm still enjoying this conversation, but just because of time, sir, I want us to conclude on these two issues.
Yes.
The coerced some people are saying being coerced to accept charges and then granted amnesty.
It's terrible. But let me first conclude this one.
And then you can add
Why
on
is
that
it a kangaroo court, as my land friend Aaron Kizza is saying? Really, how can you go to a court with competent jurisdiction and you are searched more than once before accessing the courtroom, if it is courtroom? You are denied the opportunity as a lawyer to go with your gadgets, your phones, sincerely, and that painted us as a very ugly country, which does not even embrace technological development. But when we go to where you've been asking...
people are being coerced and they are accepting charges according to them. But then these people, some have not even been charged over a case, but after they say, yes, we've accepted, and the president signs a pardon or an amnesty, the case of Prince Ruru detainees, you know, the case of the NUP people. How does this really work in the judicial system, really, and people getting justice?
In the first place, justice denied, justice delayed is justice denied.
Yes, sir.
Justice should not only be done, but it must be seen being done. Imagine this government led by General M7'S is abusing the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. The presumption of innocence is always the basis upon which bail is granted. Imagine somebody being in jail for over a decade, and later on court comes up with a verdict that you have never committed no offense.
Or you have accepted that you committed the offense.
No, that you have never committed no offense, but you have been there for over a decade. Now imagine the NUP supporters who have been in prison for almost 4 years. And you accept, they say you have served. Now you have 3 months to go.
Yes.
Upon considering the time you have spent.
We now see that you are free, yes.
You have 3 months to go. And all along, the prosecution never produced any evidence. Never disclosed any evidence.
But you remained remanded.
You remain remanded. And the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda states clearly that when you are an accused person, you enjoy presumption of innocence.
Yes, until you are proved guilty.
That's the basis upon which you are granted bail, so that you don't know how long the trial will take. Now, those who have not admitted that they committed those offenses, will the General Court Martial wait for over a decade until when the prosecution will be able to produce evidence?
So my question to you, as you ask me and my viewers, is what next for Uganda as we conclude? What next as we conclude, sir? What next when we have all these injustices hovering over the country? I can mention many injustices that have happened here, not checked, and it's still business as usual. You've mentioned the mass.
And the president of the Republic of Uganda is condoning those injustices.
He owned Zebra. He said he was the one who said the people who killed Zebra. Yes.
And it seems as if it's the one who sends Baram go and confuse them.
Give us your parting shots and tell us where are we going as a country.
Ugandans should just wake up. You know, I always refer to words of a lady, a black lady in the United States of America. She was an abolitionist. She fought against slavery. She's called Harriet Tubman.
Yes.
She said that I would have liberated many slaves.
Yes.
If they knew that there were slaves, I would have liberated them, but they were not aware. The moment Ugandans get to know that they have been enslaved by General M7'S, that day General M7'S will cease to be in power.
Thank you so
much.
They should
just wake up.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a privilege having you on Face the Nation. That is Counsel Luyimbazi and of course from the Nalukoola advocates and solicitors. We have had a conversation about the injustices hovering over this country. He has his thoughts, and of course he has been facing the nation. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please do send this message to as many people as you can. Share this video to as many people as you can, because we believe that we have these conversations to make Uganda a better place. My name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga from the entire Digitalk team. God bless you and enjoy your evening.